Welcome to Your Food Business Success. This podcast is for early stage entrepreneurs in the packaged food industry ready to finally turn that delicious idea into reality. I'm your host, Sari Kimbell. I have guided hundreds of food brand founders to success as an industry expert and business coach, and it's gotta be fun. In this podcast, I share with you mindset tools to become a true entrepreneur and run your business like a boss. Interviews with industry experts to help you understand the business you are actually in, and food founder journeys so you can learn what worked and didn't work and not feel so alone in your own journey. Now let's jump in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm recording this the day after we did our Up-Level Your Farmer's Market workshop, and it was so awesome. Somebody actually wrote me during the workshop, put a private message to me and said, I have been following you for a long time and part of your world, and this was the best workshop you have ever put on. And much thanks to Danny of Peak State Coffee representing his side as a brand. And some of the concepts in there were just like mind-blowing. People got so much value from this workshop. And I am just so proud of the work that we did. And, it was a $97 workshop, and people came away with so much more than that. You will be able to make that in sales in a weekend, if not more. There is no reason why you couldn't take the concepts from this workshop and turn it into $500 more every market. And we announced a bonus training coming up with Danny in April about hiring and training, because he has done 300 events in a season and also taken time off. He will be doing 11 markets in a week, every week during market season, which I know some of you go year round, but in Colorado, it's a little bit different here. But he can't be at all of those physically. So he has come up with so many strategies, and he's going to give you his process on how he hires and trains so he can take time off and doesn't have to be at every market. But you're only going to be able to access that by going and getting this first workshop, and it's going to be inside Food Business Success. So you can still go get the workshop. It's at foodbizsuccess.com/up-level. And seriously, it will up-level your farmer's market sales, or we'll give you your money back. So what do you have to lose? So I thought it would be great for today's podcast to kind of continue with this sales stuff, but actually, we're going to focus now on online and how to get leads better, cheaper, faster by using tools inside social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram. And I actually recorded this episode. I'm a little bit embarrassed. Thank you, Zach, for your patience. But we recorded this back in January. And it seemed so timely then, and I was really excited to get it out, but then things came up and workshops and things that I wanted to focus on. So I have been wanting to bring you this episode because it is so good, so much information, and it just wasn't the right time, but now it is. So here we are. It's March, end of March, but it's all still relevant. None of the things have changed in online advertising or any of that. And I want to let you know that there is an incredible lead ads course that I actually taught inside Fuel, the membership, as a VIP course, and I walk you through it. So Zach's going to give you all the high level and how everything works. But if you want more support, you can get it inside Fuel. And Zach also has a great course that's $25. I'll put the link for that in the show notes too. And Zach also said he would be willing to come in and be a guest inside Fuel VIP as well. The links of how you can get inside are all going to be in the show notes below. But without further ado, let's get to my interview with Zach Spuckler. Today, I am welcoming Zach Spuckler, and he is the founder of Heart, Soul, and Hustle. He also has a podcast called Not Your Average Online Marketing Podcast, which I love. And he basically figured all this stuff out about creating leads and working with advertising in social media platforms. And he created courses to teach you how to do it. And he's created millions of dollars in his own business. And he helps you figure it all out, which is amazing. And I love following him. I've been in his membership and all that good stuff before. Welcome, Zach. I'm so glad you're here with me today.
Hey, Sari. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I got connected with you. Let's see. That was, I think that was fall of 22 when I found out about you and lead ads and from a mutual friend, Judith, and just fell in love with you. And what was so funny is you told me, you're like, actually, I looked at your stuff.
I did.
Yes. So you, even though you have a focus on supporting course creators and coaches and things like that, it's really fun that you have a little bit of a dabble in your own product business as well.
Yeah. So I love Facebook ads, and we do focus mostly on digital products, but we had a candle business that we built and actually sold. We ended up selling that business. We've worked with physical products. We worked with people who sell. It was actually really fun. We worked with somebody who sells kind of like infinity scarves for dogs, which was a really fun sprint that we had with that company. And then they brought stuff in-house. We worked with people who sell wax melts and bath bombs and all kinds of things. Like,
yep.
I love the physical product side of things. It's not where our focus is public facing. So if you go Google me, you'll be like, what is this guy talking about? But in my spare time and with choice clients that I like to hand pick and work with that have really fun businesses, we've done some really cool physical product stuff too.
You know, the world of social media for many of folks listening is this scary enigma that is always changing. Yeah. And you're just one of the go-to people, at least in my world, that I've learned so much from, and kind of you make it fun. So thank you.
I try.
The best we can. So I'd love to start out with just kind of the general landscape of social media. I mean, and what's working, right, as we head into the new year. Because I feel like, and you might say this as well, that the days of just like putting up a post and lots of people engaging with it are probably gone. So how do we make the most of social media this year?
Yeah, this is such a good question. And I'm going to be biased and say, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, a little later. But, you know, leveraging advertising on top of what you're already doing organically is going to be pretty much vital, I think, in 2024, especially if you're going to be using traditional, well, so funny to say that, but like traditional platforms now, we think of like Facebook, Instagram, you know, if you're not using newer platforms like TikTok, or who knows what will be out by the time 2024 ends. But, you know, with things like TikTok, it is, you know, we see this with most social media platforms. I've been around for the creation and even, believe it or not, like the death of some really big social media platforms. And, you know, things like, you know, Facebook and Instagram, when they first start, it's ridiculously easy for content to be seen. And that's for two reasons. One is when the platform is kind of born, there's more consumers than creators. That's just the nature of this, is more people want to consume than they want to create. And we typically see that skew more towards the consumer side of things when a platform kind of comes out, like even Threads, right? We watch that happen with Threads. Like people were writing Threads, which is like, I think that has really died off too, but some people don't. I do. But like we watched Threads kind of explode, and people were like, my posts are getting, you know, hundreds or thousands, or I have hundreds of thousands of followers. And then, you know, as time progresses, people will stop consuming as much and people start producing more producers come on the scene. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that as platforms grow, and this is kind of nerdy, but like the infrastructure grows, right? So like the Facebook of 20, whenever it came out, 2012, I think it was, maybe even earlier than that. I should know that fact, but I don't. Late 2000s, early 2000s. When Facebook came out, it was like a few people running it, right? And now it's like teams of hundreds of employees, like managing different elements and infrastructure and testing and outreach. And now they have an Instagram division. And it's like, that requires cost. And so the way that these platforms offset those costs is they advertise, right? And so if it's just as easy to reach people for free as it is to advertise, there's no incentive to advertise. And so the algorithm starts to favor content that is high performing for the platform. and it skews towards organic content reaching less people, right? It's just the nature of the game. And so knowing those two things, I think there's things that we can be aware of. Number one, and I think this is true of especially Facebook and Instagram, but most social media platforms, is when they roll out a new feature, test it out. A lot of times these platforms, like Reels, were huge when they first started. We had a Reel reach like 1 million people. It was the dumbest Reel I ever did. It was a lip sync to a Beyonce audio, not the song. It was something she said, which I was like, this is hilarious. I love it. It had nothing to do with my business, went totally viral, 1.3 million views, 25,000 likes, like that. And I put no thought or effort into it, right? Now, what is it, 2 or 3 years after Reels have come out, like Reels don't just go viral, right? It doesn't happen quite as easily. So we see that trend kind of playing out. The other thing you can think about is really engaging content that keeps people on the platform. So all platforms, I can say pretty wholeheartedly, like they want people to stay on them, right? So when we create content, a lot of times we're like, how do I leverage my business? How do I grow my business? And so you want to look at it through the lens of the social platform and be asking, what gets people to like, comment, engage with this post? So what you'll notice is like, even some of the bigger, like unbranded or like meme pages, or like even some of the pages that just like ask a general question, we all see them on Facebook or Instagram. It's like, would you pick A or B? Like those posts go viral. Why? Because people comment, like, share, and engage on them, which tells Facebook and Instagram like, oh, people are staying on platform. They're doing what we want with this content. So I'm not saying don't link to your website. I'm not saying don't link to your content every once in a while, but sometimes create content for the sake of creating content. The other thing is disrupt content with social content, right? So this is a perfect example. And I don't necessarily know that this is like wildly applicable to everybody, but I think it's important we think about it, is people start to associate certain things with certain brands. And sometimes just disrupting that content helps your content reach more people. So I'll give you a really specific example. I was telling you before we started, I've been sick for the last 3 weeks. So about a week before I got sick, I took up crocheting like plushies, which I didn't even know you could do. Like,
of course you did.
Yeah, I was like, this is so fun. So I've been crocheting little plushies. I made an elephant for my niece. I made a Snoopy for my dad. I was like, this is so fun. So I've been in bed for 3 weeks, like, and I have nothing to do but watch TV, and like very hard for me to sit on my hands as an entrepreneur. Like, we want to be doing things. So I've been crocheting stuff, and I posted a picture on Facebook stories and Instagram stories, and they're like, this is your most viral story of the last 8 months. And I was like, of course it is, because it has nothing to do with anything. But the lesson we can take from that is like, how often are we being repetitious, right? If you, especially for CPG, it's like we share our product and our process a lot. And it's like sharing something different really does make you stand out. And so in consumer product or packaged goods, like that could be, showing your face, showing the company, showing the process, doing a reel of all the places or stores your product has been in, right? It's like, how often are we really looking at our content and going, wow, this looks like, this is very vanilla, when it's like the things that really people like is chocolate, right? It's like, It's just playing that game a little bit. And then the last major trend, then I'll be quiet for a second. So the last major trend that I'm seeing is amplification with advertising. And I touched on that briefly, but when we find something works okay, or we know it's leading to sales, growth, engagement, we'll amplify it with ads. And so traditionally what a lot of users do is they hit the boost button, right? And we've all done it, especially on Instagram. You're like, oh, this post is doing great, I'm going to boost it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are much more effective ways to boost a post, in my opinion, where you're essentially doing the same thing, but through the Facebook advertising backend ads manager that like really lets you push things out. But like what we've done is we are just constantly advertising 24/7. And it doesn't have to be a massive budget. It doesn't have to be a ton of money, but really it's like, I tell people, and this is not mine. I remember I learned this from a girl. Her name is Melanie Duncan, and she learned it from somebody else. She says that, and I can't remember who it is, but basically there's only 3 ways to grow your business, right? You can double your customers, you can increase your prices, or you can increase what a customer spends every time they're a customer, right? So you can have more customers, more initial money, or more average order value, right? And for some CPG, that can even include like subscription model, upsells, downsells, cross sells type of thing. But those are the only ways to grow your business, right? And so my thing is like, look, I can always be, especially in physical products, I can always be working on my average order value. I can always be playing around with the price of my products. But at the end of the day, especially, I know I said this, but especially in CPG, it's like you're going to hit a cap on the market, right? If you sell, salad dressing, you can't charge $45 for a bottle of salad dressing.
Right.
You could try, but you're going to hit a market cap, right? In the world that I come from, people love to arbitrarily throw prices on things, but it's like in consumer market, you have to do competitor analysis. Average order value comes down to your product suite, right? How many can I sell at a time? How many will people buy at a time? And I argue that even that at some point is going to hit a capacity. You're going to edge out users by having too many upsells or too many offers or going too high of a price on an order, right? So you're going to hit capacity there. So for me, the only way that I can increase at some point, right? We always want to be working on those other things, but at some point I have to be getting new customers. And so the only way to get new customers is for people to see my brand. And the only way for people to see my brand is for me to put my brand in front of other people. And so we think about things like, well, I'll post on social media. And it's like, yes, and what if you're sick tomorrow and you don't want to post, or you don't know what to post, or it's Christmas week and you're busy and you forget to post, right? These are things that big companies don't think about because they have a social media person. But as the founder, creator, operator of our business, and often the social media manager, with that hat on, we have to be thinking, how am I making sure my product is being seen every day? And so for me, that's 24/7 advertising, an amplification of what I'm already doing with advertising. Because if I'm making sure 5, 10, 20, 30, whatever you can afford, I think 5 to 10 is like a good baseline to start dollars a day just to put your content in front of the right people and say, you need to buy this thing. It's going to dramatically increase your business. And so I can honestly say, I pulled it up before we started. I can honestly say that like our highest expense every year is advertising. I pulled up my QuickBooks when our interview was kicking off because I wanted to look at it. And it's like we've done about 3.35 in sales over the last 9-10 years. And we've spent about 550,000 on advertising. So like 20%, maybe a little less. I might be doing the math a little off. It's probably like 18, but like 18 to 20% of what we spend is just putting our content in front of people. And that is frankly because I don't like being on social media 24/7. I don't like posting 24/7. I know for CPG, it's a little more important, but like my thing is like, if I just want my content to be seen, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to do is grow that lever of people that see my business, spend a few bucks to do it because it's going to be the cheapest, most efficient employee you have that guarantees your content gets seen by people.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, where do I even start? Amazing. So many good things to latch on there. I have a program that will be starting soon or may or have already started when this launches, but called Master Your Business. And we talk a lot about how do you leverage your time because all the hats that you have to wear and like really stepping into becoming the CEO. And what I kind of heard in that last little bit is we can't do all the, be on 24/7, like trying to do all these things. And so committing to putting some advertising dollars, it is an investment and it's not going to be perfect at the beginning and things work for a while and then they don't. And, but there is a return on investment. And in CPG, when I was at Whole Foods Market, and in my experience, about 20% is about right for as far as a marketing budget goes. So
yep,
you're about spot on there. But the return on investment ROI, right, is big. And
yep.
And I'm sure we'll get into email lists, but we talk about that with another guest I have on sometimes that it's like 40 to 1, for every dollar you spend, that 40% in return.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that's the big thing is like, right, your time is just finite. And for me, like, this might sound kind of like tongue in cheek, but it is true. Like, I just don't want to work that much, like I love what I do. One of the reasons we sold our candle business is we hand poured, hand topped, hand labeled, hand packed all of our candles. And like, there's totally a better way. We have like, in retrospect, there's definitely a better way. But I was like, this is exhausting. Like they're like, I have a friend, her name is Denise Duffield Thomas, and she talks a lot about money. She's like, there's always an easier way to make money. And I'm like, I totally resonate with that. And I think that there's also this duality of like, yes, there's always an easier to make money, but it typically takes something to make money, right? Like it still takes time, energy, focus, mental bandwidth. But that's the way that I look at everything that I do. And if I was to do the candles again, like this, that's how I would look at it. I'd be like, okay, if I'm spending all this time, making, where is the remainder of the time coming from, right? And I was running 2 businesses at the time. That's a big part of why it was so exhausting. But I'm like, that's the way I like to think about things, is like, sure, I can go write an Instagram post and I can create 30 days of Instagram content. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like I know people who thrive organically on Instagram. But I'm like, for me, I'd rather cut out at 4 p.m. and spend 3 to 4 p.m. like writing a Facebook ad and spending $25 that day. That's just how I vibe. And some people do and some people don't. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that there's benefit to both, right? So like, I would be lying if I said in our business, we don't use any organic social media, right? Like I play this like devil's advocate of like, oh, we're all in on advertising. But like, we use organic social media, we use email marketing, we use all these things. And email or advertising is the linchpin of what we do. And if that resonates with you and you're like, yeah, I'd love to just spend money and buy back my time, great. But there's a time and a place where it's like you can spend more and you can spend less, right? But I think that everybody who runs a CPG product business should 100% be advertising $5 to $10 a day. If you do the math, it's about, $4,000 a year, give or take, just to guarantee that your content gets seen. And it's like, if you honestly think you can find someone who guarantees you an organic social reach for less than $500 a month, like, number one, send them my way. We would love to have somebody on our social team for that price point. And two, just know like you're putting in the time now to yield the benefit later. And you kind of touched on that when you said like we have a person who does emails. Like we're not just posting on social media or running ads that are like, I hope you like my content. I hope you like my product. I hope you buy my thing. It's like we're also growing our email list. And so perfect example, we're doing a promotion this week right now. And my friend was like, oh, where's everyone going to come from? I was like, we're just going to email our list when it's ready. Like we're going to start advertising in the next few days, but to like validate and make sure everything works, we emailed our list. And so having that asset is a huge benefit. To give you a really specific example, we sent out this email for a promotion that we're doing, and somebody was like, hey, I just bought this and like nothing's working. And I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to toggle this little button on. But because I emailed my list, we caught it within 20 minutes. And it was someone who didn't care. They were like, this is no big deal. Like, I'm sure it was just a fluke. I'm on your email list. I love you guys. Don't worry about it. And it's like all of this stuff, all of the social media and the email marketing and the advertising, really what you're doing is building brand loyalty and authority. And it's like, that's the game that we want to play. Because while everybody else is out here chasing, how do I get a 2x return on ad spend on my ads? How do I grow my email list to 100,000? How do I do all these big pie in the sky things that it's like, they're not bad. If you can do them, great. But for us, we're looking at brand loyalty. And it's like, we want people who are like shouting from the rooftops about how great we are. And so now, just to expand on that further, and then I'll be quiet again. Sorry. But like for our promotion, we have people reaching out to us from these promotional emails saying, this, it looks so good. Can I share this with my people? Can I share this with my friends? Can I, now we're in a highly commission-based business where people know they're going to get a commission on that. Sure. But there are referral programs for CPG as well. But it's like, that's what you want. You want to be building this brand loyalty where people are like, dang, not only do I like you, I want to tell other people about you. And so all of these things together create this really like, I call it internal virality. It's like, I'm not going to go viral on TikTok. I'm probably never going to reach 25 million views on a video. And I'm okay with that because within my ecosystem, within my corner of the world, within my pocket of influence, people know my name and people know who I am. People know my business. And maybe it's not your name in the case of a physical product, but it's like they know your brand, right? They know your brand, and that's what you're going for.
You were very kind when you said, well, you can boost your post if you want, but I say I have a photo of money on fire, and I say if you like lighting money on fire and throwing it in a dumpster, boost a post. I think that again, sure, if you want to, maybe it'll help, but being very strategic about how you spend that $5 to $10 a day, that $150 to $300 or a month, for a month, that's the key, right? And ultimately, that's why you're here, because you have that expertise. So I want to talk about, what are some of the high leverage uses? Because again, we can go boost a post and just light $300 on fire and maybe get some likes.
Yeah.
I also think people love to boot, or like maybe they do ads or just boost a post trying to get likes or comments, but I don't even think that's the best way to use that
No.
money. So
So
let's
this
talk
is a
about that.
really, yeah, this is a great question. In a consumer product brand, like for me, the most efficient use of ad spend is dollar return, right? So I'm going to be blunt and then I'm going to like break it down, right? So it's like if you're not spending $500 to $1,000, don't even bother running ads to like sell your product, right? That's just the reality. Like it's not because it's not possible, not because you can't, but because there's a lot of testing and work that goes into getting an ad to convert, right?
To sell direct from social media to buy a product.
Yeah, if you're going direct from an ad to buy my thing, like that is one of the most challenging ads to run. There's reasons people hire agencies and consulting people and use companies to photograph their product. Like there's so many elements that go into it: product photography, targeting, awareness. There's a lot that goes into it. That's like my direct blunt, like don't even try it. Right now, if we like backpedal just a little bit, it's like don't not run those at all, right? Because the easiest ad you can run for most people is that you already have some traffic coming to your store, right? We don't maybe you don't have a ton, maybe you have a small social media following, maybe it's mostly friends and family. It doesn't matter, right? What I would do is I would run what we call a DPA ad, a dynamic product ad. And basically it's very simple. If you're in Shopify, which I'm guessing you recommend, yep, perfect. So if you're in Shopify and you connect Shopify to Facebook, you can literally in like 5 or 10 button clicks be like, I want to run an ad for $2 a day for everyone that looked at a product on my website for the last 3 weeks. And I want to run an ad to them that says, use the coupon code Facebook for 10% off, right? $2 to $3 a day. If you have a smaller amount of traffic, it won't even spend that $2 to $3. If you have a little more traffic, it'll probably spend that every day, but it's going to go after the people who are already looking at your product, right? We've all heard that old adage, and there's arguments that it's even higher now, but like it takes people 7 times of seeing your product before they make the purchase, right? We've all heard that. There are some studies that say like sometimes it's even like 30, 40, 50 with the invention of social media and how frequently people interact with different products. But like even like in that case, it's like it will just keep showing them the offer they've looked at, right? I call it the Amazon shoe ad because my audience is mostly women, but we've all done it. You look at a pair of shoes online and then it follows you around the internet, right? From Amazon. It's the same thing. And so we can set that up on a small scale with a limited budget. So to me, that's number one. Like set that up. If you have any amount of traffic coming to your store right now, set that ad up. It's going to yield the highest return because you're going after people already interested in your product. Second ad that's going to yield high return is a product-based engagement ad. So even though I said don't go directly for product sales, this would be an ad that creates engagement and awareness about your product that you're running for engagement. Now, we're limited on time and visuals because it's a podcast, but like when you go into Facebook and you click create new ad, one of your options is to literally choose engagement. I want people who engage with my post on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. For me, especially in 2024, this would ideally be a product reel. It's something engaging. It grabs attention. It showcases your product, but it's not like buy my thing now. Really great examples would be like, I just have crochet on the brain. I know this is horrible, but like a lot of crocheters, they do like crochet along with me. And they'll like, you literally watch them build a plushie from like a piece of yarn to like the finished product. And it takes like 15, 30 seconds. I watch all of them. That would be a great thing to run as an ad because it's like, let's say that person is selling you their patterns or the end product. I know I'm aware of it. It's building visibility for me, but it's also putting them right in front of me. Additionally, this is a little more advanced, but if somebody likes, comments, shares, engages, or watches more than 15 seconds of that reel, I can also retarget them with an ad later. So I can turn that reel into like this fully functioning like audience capturing system, right?
Maybe just to give people a couple of other ideas would be like, if you have a cookie mix, that you would be like making the cookies from the mix all the way to the oven to like your family enjoying them. Or if you have a marinade, then it's like marinating the meat, putting it on the grill, right? It's like the engaging, like the full.
Yes. Yeah. So, and you can make those, or those can be UGC. That can be user generated content as well, as long as you have
Sure.
express permission to use it in advertising. But yeah, I mean, like these are just videos that are like, here's the product, here's how you use it, here's what makes it so fun, enjoyable, different, unique, and you showcase that, right? The third type of ad that I would run, like, and this is just in order of priority, the retargeting $2 to $3 a day, the engagement $2 to $3 a day, and then another $2 to $3 a day. I would do a list building ad. So typically in the world that I come from, just to give some context, we would run a list building ad that's like, download this free, we've all done it, right? Download this free PDF on how to X, Y, and Z. And you give me your name and email and I'll give it to you. That's not as prevalent in the product space, but there's lots of cool stuff that you can do to still generate names and emails. So when we had our candle business, one thing that we would do is about 3 weeks before Black Friday hit, we would showcase our products in an ad, whether it be video. I don't like video because I'm really lazy, to be honest. So I don't do a lot of video content, even for the physical product business. We did a lot of like really high quality product photography. I used to do food photography, and it translated really well to product photography. All of that to say, I would prefer a video for products, but we would do images, and they worked as well. But what we did is about 3 weeks out from Black Friday, we would like showcase a few different products and be like, oh, these products are going to be on massive sale for Black Friday. Like, the best thing you can do for yourself is get on our wait list. And we would just grow a wait list. Now, you typically pay a little more to get somebody as a name and email on a wait list, because it's like, basically you're asking somebody to raise their hand to be marketed to and buy your thing. But it grows your email list, right? There are a lot of other things you can do. And there are cases where like a PDF would be great. Like, let's say you sell like, homemade pizza sauce, like a pizza recipe ebook that's like, by the way, sign up for this ebook, get 30% off your first order at our store. Like, those could couple together really well. So it does sometimes require some out of the box thinking for a physical product, but like, getting names and emails is really smart. As a side note, when you're doing those dynamic product ads and those engagement ads, and you're, linking to your product, you're saying, check the link in my bio, or you're getting, as a byproduct of what you're already doing, traffic to your website, highly recommend for physical products to have some sort of pop-up. It doesn't have to be intrusive. It doesn't have to be repetitive. What we used was called popped in for Shopify. And we would set it to not show up for 15 seconds. So they had to be on our store for 15 seconds. It would pop up once, and then it wouldn't pop up again for a week, right? Doesn't have to be invasive, but have that capture their name and email for a first-time discount or a special offer or something like that, because all this work that you're doing, including this ad where you're growing your email list, on the back of this, you're going to put them into an email sequence. We talked a little about email marketing that talks about your best-selling products, that tells them why to come to your store. And so all of this work that you're doing is going to drive them back to your store. So super quick recap. Number one, I would do a dynamic product ad, which is essentially that ad that follows you around the internet with the product you already looked at. The second one would be an engagement ad to a high quality piece of content that builds awareness and engagement. And then the third one would be just to grow a list, right? So that could be a list of potential buyers, a wait list for a product. If you have a shop that does drops, I know that this may not necessarily apply to everybody, but if you have drops, those are a really great way to build a list. If you're like, we're doing our seasonal drop on, October 31st for Halloween, we're opening the door, like, fantastic for that kind of stuff. So sell your products, engage your audience, grow your list, keep those all running 24/7, $2 to $3 a day a piece, which is about $6 to $9, which is a little more than that 5 to 10 I said, but right in that range. In that order of priority was really going to help you just grow your audience and list consistently, and sales.
Love it. That's super helpful of like where to spend it as a product-based business. And the third category is where I want to go to and spend a little bit more time, because this is a lead ad, essentially, for the most part. So I use this term, you taught it to me, and I talk about it all the time. And I have helped clients. I mean, I've had really good success with my farmer's market, for one, as well as my own business. Some of you listening probably came from a lead ad. And then I have taught it to some brands, and even taught a little class in Fuel, as part of our VIP program. And I love them. And some of my clients have had really good success with them, really amazing success. And so let's, I guess, just break down lead ads just a little bit more. And I'd love to give a couple of examples too of what we have tried, but maybe just kind of explain like why a lead ad is more effective than even just trying to get somebody over to your website, maybe to sign up for the opt-in.
Yes. So just to set the stage, a lead ad is like a term that we use, and that's what Facebook calls them. So it's not like this fancy term we made up, but it's called a lead ad. And basically it's where people enter their name and email on the platform that they're using, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, rather than sending them to your website where like a pop-up or an opt-in page prompts them to give you their name and email. And so the reason I love these is number one, they're cheaper. They cost much less than driving somebody to your website. Because remember, I mentioned earlier in kind of the trends we're going to see in 2024 that platforms reward you with your content for keeping people on platform. They're going to do the same thing with advertising. If you're going to keep them there, they're going to be like, oh, aces, this person isn't even going to make them leave Facebook to opt in. Great. And so everything kind of happens within Facebook. Second thing is that because it's on Facebook, there's this level of borrowed authority and a level of automation in that it will kind of, in a lot of cases, automatically give their best name and email, which is not always their Facebook login email. So a lot of people push back and go like, oh, I don't want to use lead forms because if it auto populates, what if it's a bad email? Doesn't force them to use that email. And it actually uses the email that they're inputting into forms, not necessarily the email that they're using to log into Facebook. So that can be really effective too. And then finally, those two things together, the fact that it's a lower cost and it's a higher conversion rate because you have borrowed authority and autofilling means you pay less per lead. It lowers what we call your CPL, your cost per lead. So all of this happens on Facebook. Now, I love lead ads for those reasons, but I also like them because they're really easy to set up and they work really exceptionally well, even if you just do like average work. I run a boot camp where I teach these and I tell people all the time, like, just shoot for a B minus, like 80%, just get it done, just get it out there. And I would say 95% of the time that somebody publishes an ad, they get leads. Are they always at the most incredible cost? Do they always kill it out the gate? No, not necessarily, but you will get leads. Like I feel very confident that if you follow along, you can get leads, right? The other thing that I like to mention about lead ads is that you still have a thank you page where you can send people to your website. So with Facebook, the way it works is like they'll see a thank you page that says like, thank you so much. We've got your information, by the way, and then you get to input a custom message. So what's really cool with product-based businesses is you can do some really cool stuff like, by the way, because you gave us your name and email and signed up for the wait list, click the button below and we'll apply 20% off to your cart. And you can send them to a coupon link using Shopify. You could say, shop our latest collection before anyone else. Here's a secret page. You could say, come follow us on Instagram if you're trying to grow your Instagram following. Like, to me, that is this secret sauce button that it's like, you can do whatever you want. And all of these ads that we had talked about earlier kind of compound on that. So if you do send them to your website and they look at a product, they're going to get retargeted through your dynamic product ad,
Yes.
right? So it's also this very cyclical nature of advertising that really for us, especially in our business, the root of that is email list building. We spend at least $1,000 a month, typically more, growing our email list every month as like a non-negotiable for our business.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I always get so much pushback from people kind of novice into this whole marketing world of like, I don't want to grow my email, or there's hesitation about whether it actually works, but it does. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to do, especially if you're going to do direct to consumer, this is just welcome to the world of marketing. We got to build an email list and we want to use it really effectively. But I love that explanation. And I hadn't thought about some of those like at the end. Those are really good. Those are gold. And what's like a good cost per lead that you would say, like, you're like, yeah, this is performing well?
Yeah. If you're in a relatively, this is going to be such a loaded statement, but like if you're in like a relatively unsaturated space, like under $1 or $2, a little more saturated, consider like $2 to $3 is really kind of where you want to play. It's also very subjective to like who you're targeting and where you're located and where you ship. Like there's a lot of factors, but I would say like $1 to $3 is like a safe zone to be shooting for. As of January 3rd, 2024, I always give that context. If you're listening to this 2 years from now, it could be cheaper, it could be less. We see ad costs fluctuate. but yeah, like $1 to $3 is a safe space to be. What you really want to look at is like, are at least, and this is called link click-through rate, is at least 1 to 2% of people who see the ad clicking on it. And then everything else is typically back-end optimization, store optimization, offer optimization, freebie or list building offer optimization, making sure it's something people want. But if people are clicking on it and like then something's happening, I always tell people like, make sure the ad is working first. Like that is the essential of advertising. Like, are people clicking on the ad? But if they're clicking and you're not converting, then there's other things that you want to look at that may not even be influenced by the advertising. So look at cost per lead, but know that it's like, I don't want to say a vanity metric because it does directly matter, but it's more like I call it like a byproduct metric. It's a byproduct of what you're paying for the ads to be seen, how many people are clicking, how it's converting. And so you want to look at like all the numbers, not just cost per lead, and cost per lead will tell you if those other numbers are performing well. So it's like this double-edged sword, but that's my long answer. That is like with the big asterisk disclaimer. But $1 to $3 is a safe space to be shooting for.
Okay, that's helpful. So some of the ones, yes, like a PDF that's a download, like get our, I had a gal was working with who has like a product for helping with sleep. So like the top 10 ways to get better sleep in 2024 kind of PDF. And it's not even necessarily about her product. I mean, it could, like one of those things could be, but it's about finding people who are interested in sleep, right? And dialing in the audience and playing around to get people downloading that PDF, which then gets them on her email list. And oh, by the way, she has a product that, that will help with that, right? So something like that, like the recipe, some kind of PDF download, which, you can create on Canva. This is not, not rocket science.
100%. Canva's our best friend.
Yeah. I have done giveaways. And I think that there are, I know there are some special language and things that you need to make sure you include when you're doing giveaways. But I think I had told you earlier that, I'm still running that same giveaway ad for the farmer's market. And it's at like, I don't know, 60 cents a lead, and we're getting hundreds of emails that then we can share with them about the winter market. And I had a client, who does bars, and they've had great success with lead ads where they are doing a giveaway. But it was like 40 cents a lead or something. It was ridiculous. So giveaways can be really powerful. Now you got to manage it, and you got to like there's some extra things you got to do with a giveaway. But those are usually, I think, the main things I see. But I could see like the product drop, like a special collection, special season, something like that could be really cool. But yeah, lead ads are pretty, very powerful, and you got to be willing to put in the work, not only for the lead ad, but all the back end stuff to support it.
Yeah. And I think that's really, I'm glad you said that, because the one thing I always like to tell people is like the ad, like typically we work with people who say like, well, ads don't work for me. And when we dig deeper, it's like the ads are not even, they may not be working, but they're not working because often it's the back end, right? And, I always like to use Netflix as a really great example. Like Netflix, I think they have raised their price a few times, so the example's not as sexy as it used to be, but Netflix used to be like $10 a month, right? If you guys can remember that. But when Netflix went up to like $13.99 or $12.99, somewhere around there, they basically in their I forget what it's called now. I'm totally spacing. Not a board meeting, but like their quarterly report. They did a quarterly report, which because they're a publicly traded company, like the notes come out from that. And they had basically said like, we will spend $120 to get somebody to sign up for our 2-week free trial. And I don't know why that has stuck with me so long, but it continues to stick with me to this day because it's all about the back end. It's all about recurring customers. It's so many people in physical products, digital products, subscription products, I don't care what, are in this mentality of like, if I spend $500 today, I better make $1,000 tomorrow. And it's like, I'm not saying lose your shirt in the process. Like Netflix obviously has a much deeper pocket to pull from that allows them to outpace the competition. But I had a coach once tell me, this was 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it's still ridiculously true, and this was like a year-end thing. So he's like, in 2022, but he said in 2022, the person who can spend the most to get a customer, the person who can generate the most revenue from a single customer will be the winner. And I just think that all comes down to exactly what you're saying, just to bring it back, is like, it's all about the back end. If you get the lead for $1, do you have emails automated going out to them? Do you have cart abandoned emails for the people who come to your store and don't buy from you? Do you have a process for the people who click on your link in your Instagram bio? Like, this is why I love advertising, because it's not just advertising. It's like, advertising is great. Lead ads are great. And it's like, we have this other saying in our space. Everybody says the money is in your list. The money is in your list. Grow your list and you'll make money. Money, 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 list, list, list. And I always tell people the potential for money is in your list. Because if you don't email, if you don't automate, if you don't communicate, you will not make money. You'll have a big asset that's like, so what, right? So I love that you brought that up. I just wanted to touch on that as like, and this is not like a pep talk of like, oh, you got to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money, right? Netflix can spend $120 on a free trial. We can't. We spend about $25 to $30 on a customer, where we lose money up front and make money in 30 to 60 days. Like, that's our goal, right? And when you get into advertising, have that mentality of like, I'm not looking to make $300 tomorrow. I'm looking to generate awareness, engagement, customers, potentially break even, and be compounding. So we like to think of it as like this. Then there's actually a book, The Compound Effect, which is a great book, by the way. But it's like, that's what we're thinking, is like, if I spend $300 this month and I make 300 back, I have all that work I just did, plus I'm going to put 300 back in again. And maybe I make 400 this month, and then I put 400 in, and 500 and 1,000 and 3,000, right? It's like, let it compound. But again, it will not compound if you don't think about the back end as well.
Right. Like, I mean, people who go to farmers markets, and first they don't collect emails at all. And I'm like, you got to collect emails. And then they get the emails, but then they're just on a piece of paper. And it's like, well, that's not doing you any good. Like, okay. I mean, get the emails first, but still, like, let's actually do something with them. Like you said, it's potential. So now that we've probably thoroughly overwhelmed some people, and that's okay. I want to bring on people who are going to tell you how it is. I love that you're like, let me tell you the truth. But this is it is very doable, and you do such a great job breaking it down. I know that your main niche is not necessarily product-based businesses, but I certainly got a ton of value out of your boot camp and your membership and working with you. And I have brought some of that into Fuel VIP. So I guess if we were going to kind of like say, well, what now? Because we've maybe given people a lot of information. They're like, oh my gosh. I do have a lead ad class. That's just an hour-long class inside Fuel VIP, so people can grab that. But then you have an amazing boot camp that I sent some people to last year and got a lot of value out of it. So I know you have a live version sometimes, and then you have what's called evergreen in the biz.
Yeah, so we have a 5-day Facebook ads bootcamp. We do them live once a quarter, and then we have them available 24/7 on demand. So every time we do a live one, basically it teaches you how to run those third set of ads that we were talking about, the lead ads. So basically, like, how do you set up an ad? What copy do you write? What images do you make? What buttons do you physically click in the ads manager? How do you find audiences? Who should you run your ads to? How do you grow the list? Where do the emails go? Like, everything that you need to basically go from like, I've got a business to I'm growing an email list. It takes about 3 days to get the ads up and running and about 5 days to see results. And so it is a time commitment, like no bones about it. You probably have to commit about an hour to 2 hours a day. If you do it live with us, if you do it on Evergreen, take your time. You got all the time in the world. But typically we do it in about an hour to 2 hours a day, live with people over the course of a week. And then by the end, you have a lead generation ad running. And more importantly, what I like to tell people is like, yes, you will generate leads. Yes, you will run a lead ad. But what we see people do, and this is what gets me so excited about the bootcamp, is that we empower you with the information. And like, I think that you're just a wonderful example, Sari, because you're like, oh yeah, like we took that, but now we're using it, for some of our clients, and we're using it for our farmers market, and we're using it for our product business. And it's like, that's what we want. We want this information out there. We want people to feel like they can learn the fundamentals, because there's nothing wrong with a template or fill in the blank. We have them in our membership, but really arming people with the tools and the skills and not just saying like, this is a drill. It screws holes into the wall, but actually like you can hang any picture in your home. Like that's what we're going for. And that's what gets me really excited about the bootcamp. So
it's inexpensive, and I'll put the link in the show notes so people can grab that easily. I highly recommend it. Learned a ton from that. And I'm going to put you on the spot, and it's okay. Sure. You can think about it. But this year in 2024, we are really focusing in my membership about like getting, might beat myself out, but getting done this year. And I almost wonder if we could maybe look at bringing in maybe someone from your staff to like really do some of even the pre-work before the lead ad. I think people even get stuck on like, how do I create an audience and what do I look for? And how do I even set up my business page and my, the Facebook manager, ads manager and stuff like that. So maybe I can twist your arm and we could bring you or someone from your team.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yes. We should set something up. It'd be super fun.
You guys, hopefully you can hear Zach and his team are super fun to work with. There's lots of people out there doing all this work, but find people that are fun and
love it.
Make it as enjoyable as possible. Well, thank you so much for doing such a great download for us and laying all your knowledge, dropping the knowledge bomb on us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Zach. Have a great rest of your day. All right. So that's what we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. Zach's so much fun to talk with. He's a lot of fun to follow. His 5-day boot camp is great if you want to just dip your toes into this lead ad stuff. I definitely will be bringing him in to run a workshop, kind of mini workshop thing. But if you get anything out of this, I would just really caution you, stop throwing away your money on boosting ads and come and learn how to do lead ads with me or with Zach. And you will make such a bigger impact and make those dollars actually work for you to create long-term actual customers and not just people liking your posts, because that doesn't necessarily mean sales. I want everybody to become more savvy and really put on our CEO hats and be more thoughtful and intentional about advertising on social media. I am sure you got lots of great takeaways from the episode today. Thank you again to Zach. And until next time, have an amazing week. The smartest thing you can do as an entrepreneur is to invest in a who to help you with the how, to speed up your journey and help you skip the line. When you are ready for more support and accountability to finally get this thing done, you can work with me in 2 ways. Get me all to yourself with one-on-one business coaching, or join Food Business Success, which includes membership inside Fuel, our community of food business founders that includes monthly live group coaching calls and so much more. It's one of my favorite places to hang out, and I would love to see you there. Go to foodbizsuccess.com to start your journey towards your own food business success.